So over the past few days, there's been like a trickle of information about Fallout 76. I made a ton of videos covering it, and many of you wanted to stay up to date, so as I covered a new interview or whatever it may be, you watch that video. But some of you aren't that interested. Some of you just don't have that much free time and don't want to watch 6 videos to actually get a decent understanding of this game. I've criticized Bethesda in multiple of these videos. It's really frustrating that the E3 conference and presentation by them didn't really give us a great understanding of what was to come, but after watching a bunch of follow-up interviews, a documentary, now I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what to expect from this game, and in this video I'm more or less just going to lay it out, all the major things you need to know about Fallout 76 from the 5 interviews and a documentary over the past week. So right off the bat, Fallout 76 is going to be taking place in West Virginia. It comes out on Wednesday, November 14th. And yeah, that is a really weird release date. I don't know why it's coming out on a Wednesday. And one of the super important parts is the game is going to be totally multiplayer. There is going to be no single player component. When you go into the game and try and play, you'll be server match made, so you will connect to a server immediately. In that server, as you go and explore, you're going to see other players. There are no human NPCs in this game. That has a number of different implications. First and foremost, if you ever see another human, you'll know it's another player that may want to fight you, it may want to trade with you, and there's a lot of possibilities in that realm. Servers are going to hold 24 to 32 players. It doesn't seem like they actually have like a hard lock cap yet, but it will be over 24 and probably under 32. You'll be able to team up with up to 4 players at once, and they're actually exploring even adding in a 12-on-12 team deathmatch mode into this game. Having no humans makes questing seem very scary and very questionable. The way quests are going to work in Fallout 76 is heavily through the use of robots and found notes or found areas. In Fallout 4, this is something they did from time to time. You would just kind of stumble upon an area, and as you looked at everything, it would come together what happened there. In Fallout 76, it seems like it's going to be largely that, but also when a human used to give you a quest or an objective to do, now a robot will give it to you. Despite all of the human NPCs being other players, there is actually going to be 63 creatures in this game. All of the creatures we saw in Fallout 4 will make a return, but in addition, a plethora of new and unique creatures. This is going to be a major component of this new game, and we'll get a bit into that in a moment. 3 of these new creatures have actually really stood out as being quite notable. These Scorched are going to be a new type of ghouls. They're like halfway in between a human and a ghoul, and it'll probably kind of take up the Raider faction that we've had in all previous games. These Scorched are going to wear some clothes as well as actually be able to use weapons themselves, unlike other ghouls. In addition, we're actually confirmed to get Mothman in this game. They touched on how Mothman's going to have unique gameplay mechanics. If you don't know what that is, it's more or less an urban legend in West Virginian lore, and he was described as having very unique and different behaviors from a lot of the other NPCs. And then finally, Scorched Beasts have been talked about a lot. These are these rather large creatures with wings, and the reason these have been talked about is they're actually part of an endgame event. In Fallout 76, you are going to be able to get nukes, and you can do a few things with these. One such thing is actually to nuke these Scorched Beasts and close up their kind of chamber or wherever they're coming out of. In order to get the nuke, you're going to have to get the code for the nuke, which is randomized and very difficult. It's meant to be a repeatable quest, so you can get the nuke and get the new codes, but the next time you do that, it's going to be a totally different experience, and you're going to have to get a different code. When you nuke a certain area, you actually can kill all of the players there. That's one option, but in addition, you can actually create a high-level zone in certain areas. It'll seemingly mutate all of the local creatures and make them much stronger, so you're going to need power armor and high level weapons to actually go there, but there's obviously going to be a reward associated with taking down the higher level enemies. This game will of course have PvP, and one of the notable features about this is you will always be able to see players on your minimap. That is not something that you can disable, at least as of right now, and they've also said that PvP will not be disableable, so it's going to be kind of a fundamental aspect of this game. There seemingly will be no safe mode for you to avoid all that and just do the story, because the story is probably going to be pretty lacking without PvP. And in many interviews, they've talked about how they're dialing in the anti-griefing measures that they're going to implement into this game so people aren't just obnoxious with the PvP, but we'll see how that goes. Fallout 76 is going to have a beta. As of right now, beta codes are being sent out, and it's going to be playable on PC, Xbox One, and PS4, but playable first on Xbox One. And although beta codes are being sent out, and you could get one by purchasing the game or technically pre-ordering the game, and that's the only way you can get one, it's still not clear later or known when the beta actually will be released. Base building is actually going to make a return in this game, but it doesn't seem like the full settlement mode of previous games will be here because, of course, no human NPCs seemingly means no settlers. The way this is going to work is more or less you get this little thing, you can place down a camp now. You can build in your camp using resources you've gathered from other areas, and certain areas are going to actually have particularly rare resources but be defended. So if you take down the enemy there, whether it be a Scorched Beast or some other thing that's hard to kill, you actually can get access to whatever those sought after resources are and seemingly build in that location. The one described was actually lead to create bullets, so if you kill whatever thing is defending the lead, you could make a ton of bullets, but this game is going to have a decay system, so things will rot away, such as food, as well as items will actually decay over time and eventually delete themselves. This is meant to incentivize trade between players. Since there's no human NPCs, you're going to have to rely on barter and, of course, just exchanging caps for items with other players, and that's going to be a mechanic in this game. As far as actually building in your camp, what we've seen in the background of the trailers is the largest you can actually build these. They said for many of the trailers, they actually maxed out the building limit. When you log off your server, the camp will actually come with you, it'll close up and just be gone. But when you actually reconnect to a server, it'll place it back down wherever you were last, even if it's a different server. If there is a conflict, such as somebody else already having a camp in that area, it will just packet it up and give you a blueprint to place down somewhere else. You can also just do that naturally, pack up your camp at any time and place it down somewhere else just because you want to move. You can actually damage other players' camps, but apparently it's very minor and it's going to be as simple as just clicking a button to fix everything for an associated cost. You can't actually destroy other players' camps. This game is going to have survival aspects. As of right now, it seems like they are actually not optional and you have to use them. You'll have to eat and drink as you did in previous games, but in addition, there's actually a new mechanic being implemented, that with mutations. Unlike in Fallout 4 and earlier games, in Fallout 76, when you get radiation or rads, you actually will potentially mutate your character. These mutations are going to have different trade-offs and give you a benefit, but also hurt you in some other way. So depending on your character and what the mutation is, it can actually affect your playstyle or improve it. There are also ways to make these mutations more permanent. And then as far as the special system and leveling up, you will have it very similar to previous games. Every time you level up, you'll get to pick a new special card as they're described. It seems like it's largely going to be that kind of tree or tier system from Fallout 4 where you just have each of those individual lines and you can level up one thing in that line. No traits or things like that, but things are going to be characterized much more like traits in this game. So in Fallout 4, many of the different perks you can get were just straight benefits. They improved your shooting, improved your carry weight, things like that. In Fallout 76, they're described as actually having more trade-offs. That might make you more accurate as a shooter, but reduce your carry weight. But also, as you level up, you can actually share these special cards with other people in your group, so that 4-person squad that you are allowed. And in addition, every time you level up, you can actually totally refund all the points and distribute them other ways. On death in this game, you're actually not going to lose your items. You'll just respawn, and as we've actually seen in some of the gameplay, when another player kills you, you get caps, but it doesn't really seem like you can loot their body. And finally, this game is going to have mod support. This is not going to be available at launch, and the way it's going to work is with setting up private servers. It seems like, based on the interviews, Bethesda doesn't even really know how it's going to work, but they're committed to getting it working. We have no release date on that, just that it won't be available at launch, and the private service system will be implemented later, not at launch either. The way they're going to support this game, and of course all of these private servers, is through microtransactions. They said they're going to be selling different skins and aesthetic items that will be earnable in the game through just normal play, but in addition you can pay money to get them. And that's largely everything we know about Fallout 76. I tried to cover it all, I went through my notes, but if I somehow missed something, let me know in the comments down below. I'll make an addendum or pin a comment with it. Hopefully you guys found this video informative. We're probably going to be toning things down on Fallout 76 in the coming weeks, and that's why I kind of wanted to make this recap video, because a lot of information has come out over the past few days, and it's kind of hard to keep track of everything that's been said. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.